Hi, I'm Finch Berling, and this is More Than Streams, the weekly music marketing podcast that will teach you how to get, you guessed it, more than streams. Today I'm going to tell you about my worst music release ever, the one that completely flopped, the one that taught me more than any successful release ever did. Because just like any other musician who is not rich or has famous parents, I used to be a struggling musician. I tried to make music I loved and get it heard, and most of the time I was struggling to even pass 1,000 monthly listeners. I felt like no one cares about me or my music. And I've learned something painful through all of that. There is a big difference between doing something you love and doing something to be loved. Just like in real life, with relationships and friendships, you eventually find your audience, the people who will love you for doing what you love. But it's an emotional roller coaster, and it requires compromises. For me, I realized that I couldn't sacrifice what I found more important in my life. So I stopped chasing the big music career dreams. I started making music for a better reason, because it makes me feel good. My failures have taught me way more than my successes, and I'm grateful to have this platform now to help other musicians avoid the mistakes I did, and to remind you that it's okay to make music for yourself and your soul. So today, I want to share the story of one of my last releases. It went terribly wrong for so many reasons, and I want you to learn from it so you can relate, understand what happened, and hopefully plan your next release better than I did. So let's dive into it. The song is called Allosaurus, like the dinosaur, and it's an electronic song or electronic track, and I loved it. I really did. I made it back in 2016, and for years I didn't share it with anyone. I didn't release it right away. I kept waiting for the right time, when I had more money, more connections, more followers, more knowledge about marketing. I thought if I just wait until everything is perfect, the song will get the attention it deserves. So I waited and waited, and finally, years later, I decided to release it. And it completely flopped. And I'm talking about barely any streams, no playlist ads, no engagement, basically nothing. At first, I blamed the world. Then I was extremely frustrated about everything. Then I was just defeated. But looking back now, I can see exactly why it failed. And that's what I want to share with you today. The 5 lessons I learned from releasing my song Allosaurus. So let's go and start with the first lesson. You can't release a song with zero budget. So the first mistake I made was thinking I could release the song with zero budget. I distributed the song with DistroKid. I posted about it on Instagram, and then I just hoped that it would go viral. I hoped that it would magically find listeners. I hoped that the algorithm would pick it up. I hoped that people would discover my song organically. But that didn't happen, because without ads or playlist pitching, if you're just starting out, usually nothing moves. And the algorithm didn't push it, and no one discovered my song. Here's what I know now. If you want real listeners, you need some fuel behind your release. Even a small budget for ads or playlist submissions, they can make a huge difference. I burned all of my little budget I had on mixing and mastering, and it left me without any marketing budget. You don't need thousands of dollars for marketing, but you need something, because the reality is Spotify isn't going to promote your music for free. You have to use tools like ads and playlists to boost streams and saves, and eventually land on algorithmic playlists. I learned it the hard way. And if you're planning to release a song with zero budget, I'm telling you right now, it's probably not going to work. Save up, even $100 or $200, and it can really help. Use it for ads. Use it for playlist pitching. Just don't release without any budget at all. And if you do plan to focus only on social media, at least invest in a social media course so you can do it right and not waste your time. The second mistake I made was thinking the song would speak for itself. And that's something a lot of musicians say. And I also had this mindset. I was convinced that if people just heard Allosaurus once, they would love it. I thought the quality of the song was enough. But here is the problem. Because of my crappy marketing, no one even heard it once to want to stream it twice. A good song doesn't automatically get exposure. It needs visibility first. You need to get it in front of people, and that requires marketing. I know a lot of musicians who think like I did. They pour all of their energy into making the song perfect. They spend months on production, mixing, mastering, and then they release it and expect the world to notice. But the world doesn't care. Not because your song is bad, but because no one knows it exists. Marketing isn't optional. It's not something you do after you make good music. It's part of the process. So if you have a song right now and you're thinking, this one is different, people will love it. Trust me, I thought the same thing. And I was wrong. You need a plan. You need visibility. You need to actually promote it as much as you don't want to. And I just want to say, if you do have the budget, but not the time or energy to promote your music, you can just send me a DM on Instagram and I would love to work together with you and help you promote your music. Now, let's move on to lesson number 3. And this one hurts a lot. I made Allosaurus in 2016. I released it years later. And by then, my taste slightly changed and the EDM scene had moved on. I pitched to very few playlists, and curators literally told me it doesn't fit modern playlists. And that stung me, because to me, the song still sounded good enough even in 2022. I still loved it, but to them, it already sounded old school. Trends change, sounds evolve, and what feels current to you might already be behind to everyone else. And this is something I see with a lot of musicians. They hold on to songs for too long. They keep tweaking them, perfecting them, waiting for the right moment. But by the time they release it, the moment has passed. So if you have a song that's been sitting on your hard drive for years, ask yourself, does my song still sound current? Would a playlist curator add my song today? You can use the Meetup's Hot or Not feature to see what other people think about your song. And it's really important to gather honest feedback. Believe it or not, your own view of the song isn't objective. If you make folk music, for example, you need to be 100% sure whether it would fit on modern indie playlists or not. Maybe you're not modern indie anymore, just like I'm not electronic dance music anymore. I'm early 2010 revealed recording electro house, I guess. So release your music before it becomes old school. And if it's old school, just acknowledge it. Now let's talk about lesson 4. And this one is the hardest lesson for me to accept. I was emotionally attached to my music. Not because it was emotional, but I was attached to the vision I had for it. I imagined it being played in clubs. I imagined DJs remixing it. I even imagined David Guetta hearing it and wanted to do a remix. I had this fantasy built up in my head about what this song could become. But new listeners, they don't have this vision. They don't know what you imagined for the song. They don't know how big you thought it could be. You need to build a bridge between your excitement and their attention. That's what good marketing does. It positions your song so people actually want to care about it. I didn't do that with Allosaurus. I just assumed people would hear it and think, this is a club hit. But they didn't, because I didn't give them a reason to. So when you release your next song, think about it. Why should someone who has never heard of you care about this song? What's the hook? What's the story? What's your special angle? And post about your vision on social media. And the best way to show you believe in the song is to invest in it. I didn't invest much. Well, I didn't invest at all. And if you don't invest in yourself, why would anyone invest in you? Something to think about. Okay, are you ready now for the last lesson? Lesson number 5. Here is the reality that no one wants to hear. It usually takes way more releases than you think to find the one that blows up. A lot of artists quit after 3 to 5 songs don't perform. They think, I've tried everything and nothing is working. 5 releases? That's everything to you? Even 10 releases? Are you already giving up? The truth is, it usually takes 20, 30, or even more releases to find your audience, to figure out what works, to build momentum. This is a marathon, not a race. And if you're not ready to keep going through multiple releases, through the failures, the low stream counts, the frustration, it might be better if you treat music as a hobby. And that's totally fine too. I'm saying this because I wish someone told me this when I started. I would have had more realistic expectations. One of my earlier releases actually got 10,000 streams in the first month, and that gave me an illusion of progress. I thought, okay, I've figured it out. This is working. So I slowed down, and I thought that the next song would do even better. But it didn't, and the momentum I had simply died. The lesson here is simple. Keep releasing. Don't stop. Even if a song flops. Even if you feel discouraged. The only way to lose is to quit. Now, time has passed since I released Allosaurus, and today I know exactly how to build a system that gives every release a real chance to work. I know how to run ads, I know how to pitch playlists, I know how to create content that actually converts listeners into fans. The same strategies that helped me figure this out are now helping other musicians reach tens of thousands of real fans, and you can find success stories on my Instagram or inside my programs. And that's what my program, Your First Hit Song, is all about. It's everything I wish I had when I was releasing music as an independent musician. Step-by-step videos, workbooks, contact lists with thousands of playlist curators, ad templates, budget planners, a full system. Over 200 musicians joined last year, and the program is completely updated for this year. You can keep making mistakes or stress about getting listeners every time you release a song, or you can get my full step-by-step system and start doing it right. Thank you for listening to this episode. That's what I learned from my worst release ever. If you're listening to this and you have had a release that didn't go the way you hoped, I get it. I've been there. And I'm telling you, it's okay. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're just a student in the weird competitive university called the music industry. You will never graduate because you will never stop learning. And it's important you understand that. Take these lessons, apply them to your next release, and keep going. I'm really glad you are here listening to this podcast because I have so many more lessons to share with you. And I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. Thanks for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.